Okay, in this lesson we're going to look at the circular flow model. It is another economic model, and this one gives us an idea of how the factors of production and goods and services flow within the economy. So when we look at the circular flow model, we've got a lot going on here, and we want to look first at this inside curve that's in yellow. And we want to think about it like this. So households supply the factors of production. They are the owners of the factors of production, and they supply them. They supply them through factor markets to the firms, corporations. So in this sense, households are suppliers and firms are the consumers. Supply and demand still apply when we talk about looking at why prices are the way they are. So households are selling the factors of production through factor markets to the firms. So you can see here, so the supply of land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship are being sold in the factor markets to the firms. And you'll see here the hire of land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So firms are hiring the labor. They are purchasing the capital, the land. They're developing the land through these factor markets. Firms take those goods and they produce goods and services, of course. So the firms are taking these factors of production, they produce goods and services out of them, and then they're sold at the good markets. Well, think about goods markets. Walmart, Target, Best Buy. These are goods markets. In other words, Walmart and other places are simply middlemen. Those are the places in which goods and services are sold. So when we talk about the interaction of households and firms interact within the markets. So they interact within the factor markets, like for example, the labor market. They interact in the goods market, for example, Walmart. And households, of course, are buying goods and services through the markets from the corporations. And that leads us to this outside curve, the blue curve, which is our money. So whenever households sell the factors of production, what they're getting back in return are wages, rents, interest, and profit. That's what they're receiving through the factor markets from the firms, which you'll notice down here, of course, those two match. So households sell the factors of production through the markets to the firms, and in return they receive the wages, rents, interest, and profit. On the other side of this, we have firms that are selling goods and services through our goods markets. Households, of course, are buying them, and thus we see this expenditure on goods and services coming down here. Now, what we look at, of course, is households are buying goods and services through these goods markets like Walmart to the firms. And of course, that's the firm's total revenue. So the firms are earning revenue by selling goods and services through the markets. Households are earning income by selling the factors of production through the factor markets. And so what we see, of course, is everything is moving within this circle. So all of the wealth and all of the resources that we have in our economy are all being moved throughout this circular flow model. And so that's one of the things you have to look at. Now the question, of course, is going to become, what happens when the government intervenes within the economy? So let's examine this circular flow model when government all of a sudden becomes a part of the issue. So we stick the government here in the middle. The government buys goods and services just like the households do. So one of the things we see about the government is they're going to be expending money on goods and services. Well, how does the government get money? Well, that's what we see within the green here. So governments tax the firms and the government taxes the households. So that money comes into the government and it's then transferred and it's used to buy goods. So when taxes are paid, it goes into the government. That money is then transferred back into the households and firms through various programs. For example, if the government is giving money in the welfare system, well, they're doing so through taxes. So the government takes in tax money and then they transfer that money back into households and firms through various programs, while at the same time they use that money to buy goods and services within the market. Now, of course, they're not going to Walmart and buying things, but they are buying things within goods markets because that's how firms do their business. Firms are selling through the middlemen. households are selling through the middleman of the factor markets, and that's how everything is being transferred and moved around through this system. And then the government exists to regulate the system and to also transfer cash. Taxes are being brought in, transfers are being sent out, goods and services are being purchased by the government. So all of this flow is moving back and forth through everything that's taking place. Now, one of the big things that we're going to look at here soon is to what extent is the government active within this circular flow model. And when we talk about different economic systems, those differences in economic systems are based on exactly what is the government doing within the market. Are the government having a lot of influence or very little influence within this flow model? So that's what we're kind of moving to as we look through these different lessons.